Hi everybody, Sam Mewis here, and welcome to Friendlies, the interview podcast from the women's game. Today we have such an incredible interview with Jess Fishlock, Welsh legend and midfielder for the Seattle Reign. I have had quite the week. I talked a lot about it on the second ever episode of Good Vibes FC on Tuesday. For those of you who aren't familiar, that's our weekly podcast with Lynn Williams and Becky Sauerbrunn. I told Lynn this week about the amazing time that I had in North Carolina last weekend. It was so great to be down there with my family, to see some of my old friends and teammates, and visit some of my favorite places in the Triangle area. The Courage means so much to me as an organization, and I was inducted into their Ring of Honor, the first ever inductee, and it was just truly one of the most special ways I can imagine celebrating my career. I got the chance to speak after the game. I was really trying to keep it together, but I was just so overwhelmed with emotion. Naturally, I started sobbing and I only said about half of what I planned to say. But it was so great to be back in North Carolina for the Courage home opener. They beat the Houston Dash 5-1. So thank you again so much to the Courage for hosting my family and me and giving me this opportunity to celebrate my career. Courage Country will always have such a special place in my heart. Looking ahead to this weekend, we have another full slate of NWSL action, including the Good Vibes FC Derby. Lynn's Gotham are traveling to Portland to take on Becky's Thorns. That game is at 7 p.m. Eastern on Sunday on ESPN2. I don't want to take sides, but I really can't bring myself ever to cheer for Portland. It's just an old rivalry thing from my days in the NWSL. So go Gotham. Sorry, Becky. Another game I'm really looking forward to watching is El Clasico Femenino. That's Real Madrid versus Barcelona, and you can watch it for free on DAZN this Sunday, March 24th at 1 p.m. Eastern. DAZN is the global broadcaster for Liga F, and all you have to do to watch is register, and anyone, anywhere can tune in. It's really amazing to see the women's game grow across the world, and part of that growth is seeing more coverage. So I encourage everyone to sign up for DAZN, where you can watch a ton of, not just Liga F games, but also Champions League games for free. I will actually be at the second leg of the Chelsea-Ajax Champions League game next week, so stay tuned for more on that and make sure that you register for DAZN so you don't miss a minute. Don't forget, you can always email us with all of your questions. What do you want to know about us here at the women's game? This is your chance to ask us soccer questions. You could ask about how this show gets made, if you're a nerd, or you can ask about me. You guys already know my favorite food right now is Yorkshire pudding, but I'm here to share. I consider us all friends here. Ask me anything by emailing womensgamemib@meninblazers.com or call us at 855-611-4050 and leave a message. Finally, without further ado, here is my interview with Jess Fishlock. We talked about her time growing up in Wales. We talked about her career in the NWSL, how she came here, how she's been here for so long. We also asked her to name the best player she's ever played with, and she gave us a full starting 11. So keep listening. It was so much fun to spend time with Jess, and I can't wait for you all to hear from her. Here's Jess Fishlock. I am so excited to have Jess Fishlock here today. Jess, you have been one of the best midfielders in the NWSL for over 10 years. You've played for the Seattle Reign since 2013 in every single season of the NWSL's existence. I'm not calling you old, but you've captained the Welsh national team and you have over 130 caps. You're also a 5-time Welsh Footballer of the Year. It seems like you are just traveling the world playing football wherever there's football to be played. You've won Champions League in 2019 with Lyon. You were the NWSL MVP in 2021. You've left your mark all over the world. And I feel like the only way I can really describe you to listeners is fiery. You're so intense. You bring such joy and such passion to the game. Whenever you score a goal, I feel like the intensity is like palpable by the fans, but really by the other team. That's why playing against you was always such a challenge, is you're more than just a skilled footballer. You're the heartbeat of your teams, and you make all of us feel your passion. And as the opposition, that can be so intimidating. And I never wanted to be on the wrong side of you. I hated playing against you, but I also really loved that as a challenge. Thank you so much for being here, and welcome to the women's game.
I think that was the best intro I've ever had. Thank you. You said so many kind things.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for being here. That was a joy to write and to read. We've played against each other for years, but unfortunately we've never been teammates. Mm-hmm. Although My first ever professional game in the NWSL was I was on Western New York, and we came to Seattle to play you guys in 2015.
Oosh.
We
Sorry.
lost 5-1.
I was gonna say sorry.
I'm gonna remind you a little bit. I was a rookie. You scored a goal. Pino scored a hat trick. Megan Rapinoe scored a hat trick. And I remember watching you guys celebrate your goals, and I felt like such an imposter. I was like, I don't really think I belong here. I don't know if I can keep up. Do you remember anything about that game?
Honestly, not really. And that I just think that 2014 and 15 for us was just, I think our team really pushed this league and football with the way that we were playing and the players that we had. And so, those years for me were kind of more than just we were good. It was like we were changing something very similar to what North Carolina did. They kind of did exactly the same thing just a few years later. And so whenever I think of those years, it's all just a blur, because every game just was a different feeling, if that makes sense. Obviously, Pino was just a joke, and we had Kimmy, and it was just like, I don't know, it was just like everything that we were working on just worked, right? And so, no, and probably because every team that we played, it wasn't about them. It wasn't like, it was just about us. And so it was like, there's a team, it's a team, it's a game, it's a game. So, unfortunately, I don't remember that. I'm really sorry.
Well, that's okay, Jess. I forgive you. I know exactly what you mean when you mentioned North Carolina kind of did something similar.
Yeah.
I remember the same feeling. Like, it didn't matter who we played. We knew exactly what we had to do, and you just felt good kind of all game, every game.
All game, amazing. Every game. Yeah, I feel like, it's hard to describe that unless you've been a part of a team that has kind of changed a little landscape of football in itself. And I remember we talked about your team like that. It was very similar to North Carolina changing the game again, right? Which is great, which is what you want, which is what you need. You need teams to be able to build something that is bigger than just a 90-minute game. It becomes, you change the footprint of what football is, so then other teams have to go and change it again, right?
Yeah.
So it's fun. It's why I'm so excited to be on here, because I know that you've been a part of something like that, right? And it was the same feeling when that North Carolina team, as I'm assuming you're feeling when you played that kind of team of the Reign. It's just like, it doesn't matter what I do here. And that is one of the worst feelings in the world when you're on that field.
I know. It's like the other team knows a secret that nobody else knows yet.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is.
I know. Okay, well, we're going to talk so much more about that, but I'm going to take a quick break from soccer to congratulate you on recently getting married. You and your wife, who, oh my God, your Reign teammate, Zaria King, you were married in Wales in December. Congratulations. I saw the beautiful venue on your Instagram and the time that your families got to spend together. And I also saw the picture of Megan Rapinoe dancing with you guys on the dance floor in her poor little scooter after she tore her Achilles.
I know.
Tell us a little bit about the wedding. What was the highlight?
I think the highlight was we got to bring two families together, two cultures together, which, is no easy feat to do, especially, with me and my family. We're a little crazy, and Z and her family are a little crazy, and, it could have gone either way. But it was just, obviously our wedding and our ceremony was beautiful. And our venue was spectacular, not just in its visuals, but in the way that they ran the whole thing. Because we had a 2-day wedding event at the venue. And before that, all the kind of Americans flew over on the Friday. So we were had a 5-day, extravaganza. But it really was not so much just that we were getting married, but it was just, we did it this way because, our families are probably never going to get together again. And that was really the highlight of it, was seeing both sides just come together to celebrate our love, right? And I think that it was a very unique situation to be in, and we were very thankful that a lot of our friends from over here found their way to little tiny Wales, right? I remember we kind of got married in Abergavenny, which is kind of like out of any of our cities, and you basically are just driving through farmland. And I remember Pina was like, "Where are we?" And I was like, just go with it. Just go with it. Don't worry about it. Just go with it.
If it looks like you're in the middle of nowhere, then you're in the right place.
Exactly. Yeah, precisely. There was just sheep everywhere.
Oh my gosh. It sounds amazing. I'm really happy for you guys. And we actually asked on social media for some questions from some listeners for you. And Erin Vlamis sent in and asked what it's like to play and work with your wife.
Oh, yeah. we get this a lot, actually. It's for us. It's fun. We love it. Obviously, it has its moments where we have to navigate each other's space as being athletes, which is super important, and then obviously the space that we're wives, right? But I think for us, we do that in a way that really works for us, and we communicate a lot with what we're feeling and what we need in each other's moments, and we work through that. But the plus side of it is we both understand like what this life is, the pressures of it, what is needed, and we're both kind of our biggest fans, but also we're able to push each other too, because we understand that is part of it as well. But I think, we're in a great environment. We have a lot of respect for each other, which is important, but also for our teammates, and our teammates have a lot of respect for us and our situation. And I think that pulling all those kind of things together, it kind of works. But it is really funny because I'm like a football lunatic, right? Like, I love it. I watch all of the games and I always want to talk about it. And Z's not really like that, like we'll have a game and if it goes well or if it doesn't go well, like I want to talk about it like right away. Like I'm just like, oh, what do you think? And oh, this is how I felt. How did you feel? Like just really trying to review it. But after the game, Z's the opposite. She's like, no, like I want to switch off and I want to, put it to bed until tomorrow when I have a fresh brain. And I'm like, yeah, well, that's probably logical, but like I can't do that. And so there's so many times where she's just like puts a timer on her phone and she just goes, you have 6 minutes, and that's it. And I'll just go for 6 minutes.
6 minutes could be a long time.
And I'll just like speak for the whole of the 6 minutes, and then she'll go 6 minutes up, and then that's it. And then we just don't talk about it. Yeah, we're done.
That sounds like a really healthy balance, actually. That's great.
Yeah, like I said, we just both understand the needs of each other, right? And we really try to navigate that together, which, up until this point, touch wood, we had no issues. So let's just keep hoping that it goes that way.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm so happy for you guys. That's amazing. I'm going to pivot us back into some soccer stuff, and we're going to come back to the Seattle Reign in a little bit. But I want to go all the way back to the beginning. You're one of 6 kids, and I actually heard you tell a story somewhere else about how you fell in love with the game because you were kind of forced with your older sister to go to a Mia Hamm soccer camp in Wales. Yes. Can you tell us that story a little bit? Was Mia Hamm actually at the camp?
No.
Oh.
It must have just been like a, like a soccer academy that kind of had a name to it. But obviously, it must have been just after, one of the World Cups where she and the US were just fantastic. And it was like the school holidays. So we have 6 weeks off for school holidays. And obviously there's 6 kids, right? So my dad's working and my mum's got to try and occupy 6 kids throughout an entire 6 weeks. And we all want to do different things, right? but obviously it's not really possible for one kind of parent to be able to go and look after 6 kids. So Kath was the older, my older sister. And so it was just kind of like, well, where the Kath goes, you go, because I can't take you to different things. You're going with her, and you will enjoy it. And so we went to this Meerham soccer school, and I was 7. And my mum still has the picture of me from that soccer camp that ended up making it to the papers back in the day. And I just loved it. I just loved and my mum said from that moment, it was just like, I'm not doing anything else. I don't want to do anything else.
Wow.
And this is all I want to do.
I know. I mean, I felt the same way. It was actually like right around the 1999 Women's World Cup. As soon as my sister Christy and I realized that we could play soccer and potentially play at the highest level, we wanted to do nothing else. We were just obsessed. We would like wear down the grass in our backyard juggling and like playing 1v1, and we were so obsessed with it. So you continued playing in Cardiff.
Yeah.
Beautiful, historic capital of Wales, around age 7, like you said. So this is mid-90s. And I actually recently did an interview with Jill Scott, the former England international who grew up in Sunderland. She was playing with boys whose parents used to call out for their sons to break her legs
probably
on the field. What was football like for girls in Wales around this time?
Well, it was pretty non-existent. We really didn't have anything. I played for my brother's team for a long time. I have 2 older brothers, and they both played football. And I guess I was lucky in that way because I would just hang out with them wherever they would go, and they would always look after me. And there was one team in Cardiff called Cardiff City Ladies, and it was run voluntarily by these 2 ex-women national team players. The 2 that run this team were actually 2 of 3 ex-players who I'm friends with, all 3 of them actually. They came to my wedding. Who actually went to the FAW and forced them to get a women's team. So there's so much history within kind of all of that, right?
The FAW is the Welsh Federation.
Yes. So they were the ones that were like, you have to have a women's team. Like, let's go. And so then they started this one only women's team that has been in Cardiff, for decades, and is still running now. And so I actually was playing for my brother's team, but I was training with that team since I was, under 10, and they just took me training all the time. And I trained with them. I couldn't play with them until I was 15 because of rules. And then was a part of the Welsh youth setup, U10, U12, U14, U16. But played with boys along the way. And then obviously got to the age where I had to play with girls. But went straight into the senior team, right? The Cardiff senior team that I've been training with for kind of all of the time. And so there wasn't really a pathway. I mean, I'm still unsure there is like a real pathway right now. But, through hook or through crook, like we made it work. And I think that I'm very grateful for every one of those people, because had they not kind of just gone, maybe we see something in this player, and really probably went above and beyond to make sure that I stayed in some kind of developmental pathway, I probably wouldn't have navigated it myself, because there just wasn't any ways to do it, really. I mean, we're talking, like you said, 90s. I mean, it was nothing going on then. So I'm very grateful for that pathway. But also, like you said, I just knew that this is what I wanted to do. So whatever I needed to do, I would have done it, And so I played loads of sports too, but whenever it came down to like, you have to choose one, I was like, well, okay, well, football it is. So, yeah.
Well, eventually, you even chose football over school. When you were
Yes.
16, you dropped out of school. You got a full-time job to support your playing.
Yeah.
What opportunities were in front of you then? I know you were around 16. Where did you think that playing football could take you when you were at that age? You made that decision.
Honestly, all I kept thinking was, I'm going to find my way to America. And I didn't know how I was going to do that because it was honestly at the time just like this. It's like something you would, I mean, even, I mean, I'm a kid from Wales, right? Like going to America is like in the 90s, right? Trying to find your way to America by, I don't know, probably a ship back in those days was like, it was a dream to just go there as for like a family holiday, right? It wasn't like but at that time, it was women's football or anything that you saw from women's football that we got was from America, right? We talk about the Mia Hamm soccer camp, right? Like there wasn't just a girls' soccer camp for anyone in Britain at that point. It was Mia Hamm soccer camp that was somehow in Cardiff. I mean, I don't even know how that happened, but that what I'm saying? It was like just these wild things. So that was like the big thing of like this is where I want to get to. And I don't know how I'm going to get there. I don't even know if it's possible. But playing and training and doing the everyday thing. I mean, I was working full time at 16, 17, 8 in the morning, 5 at night till 5. I'd get up early, train, go to work, train in the evening, like have my dad have to drop me off, which he did all the time, every day without fail. My mum would take me training, pick me up, like, but for me, that's what I wanted to do, Like, did I want to work at? No. But did I need to? Yes. And so it was like, well, if I'm working 8 till 5 or 8 till 4 or whatever, well, then I need to figure out my training around that. Because obviously there was a wealth setup too, and I wanted to get into the U19s. And so it was just like, just doing what you had to do at the end of the day, and then I got my break through playing through the national team. Really, it's funny because I was playing for the national team before I was even a professional athlete, which is wild when I think of that now.
Yeah, I know. That's so cool. We actually have heard that story about the coach of the opposing team when you were playing with Wales was from the Netherlands. He was coaching a club team there, and he asked you to come play for him, and you went, and you left your home in Wales for the first time ever to go play professionally in the Netherlands. Mm-hmm. Was that a difficult decision to leave home for the first time?
Oh God, no. It was funny. Obviously, yes, it was, because I'm such a family gal. Mm-hmm. Love my family, love Wales, miss it dearly, but I had to go. It was like
you were ready.
Yeah, and I remember it because I was in work. This is a funny story. I was in work, and I just, I mean, I hated it, but whatever. And I had an email from the FAW, like team ops person, come to my. I was on my emails, personal emails. I shouldn't have been on them, but I was like, whatever. And it just said like, Ed Engelkes from the Dutch national team is now going to be manager. He wants to get in contact with you. Can I pass on your email? And I was like, yes, of course you can.
Yeah, obviously.
And so
hurry up.
Yeah, should have already done it.
Yeah.
And then he emailed me in work and basically said, listen, this is what's happening. The Dutch national team are putting their league together, and we played against you, and you are exactly what Dutch football needs, basically, he said. So he's like, I want you to come over. You have a trial in like 2 months. So I went, yeah, sure. And then I looked at my boss, who was sat opposite me, and I said, I'm probably leaving. So,
yeah.
And they were like,
How'd it
what do you
go?
mean? I was like, well, listen, just got this email. How long do I have to put in a notice for? Do I have to put in a notice? Like, how does this work? I have no idea. I'm a teenager. um, so, yeah. And then told my mom and my family. And, my mom at the time was a little, are you sure? And I was like, I want to do this. And she was like, okay. And she sent my brothers over to make sure I wasn't there on my own. And, I have a great support system. But it all came from me breaking the rules and checking my personal emails at work, basically.
Hey, sometimes you got to do it. It
Hey.
leads to good things. I think that's good advice. Okay, so I'm going to dive a little deeper into your club career.
Mm-hmm.
It's been such a journey. It's taken you all over. You just mentioned that you've played in the Netherlands. You have so much experience in the NWSL, but you've also played in Germany, France, England. When you finally came to America, like you said, you kind of always hoped you'd find your way to America. You came to Seattle in 2013 during the very first year of the league, of the NWSL. And I actually read somewhere that you were surprised by the physicality of the game in America. What do you remember about that? This is now your first experience. What was the difference between your experiences in Europe?
Well, I remember our first game. Me and Laura talk about it all the time. And we were
Laura Harvey, your head coach at Seattle.
Yeah. We were playing Chicago away. And it was that pit. I don't know if it was probably gone by
Oh, the high school field?
Oh my God, yes. Right.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh my God. And I was like, okay, sure, let's go. But I don't know if it was just how long that America had not been with a league, because obviously what happened with WPS, how long that this had been building up, and I don't know, it was wild. It was wild. And it was
Wow, wild how?
there should have been about 4 sending-offs in this game. I'm telling you now, I got hit from behind with a scissor tackle from Shannon Box. And I was like, I don't even think the ref gave a foul. And then obviously this league, so then I obviously lost the ball because I almost lost both my legs. And then there's a transition, and I'm like, wait, so now I got to try and get up, even though I don't even know if my legs are attached. And now I got to run at 100 miles an hour, trying to chase Ella Massa down the field. And it was just a completely different intensity that, in every form of the game. It wasn't just physicality, it was speed, it was drive, it was the constant communication. All of it was just amplified. And obviously, there was Shannon Box and Leslie Osborne, and I was like, where am I? And this is crazy. And I remember walking off the field with Laura, and I said to her, I don't think I can do this. I don't think I'm ready for this. I don't, impossible. I was just I just don't know if I can get to this level of intensity to be here. And then it's hard
so
because
you say that. It's so funny to hear you say that, because that's exactly what I said about my first game in the NWSL playing against you, which was just 2 years later. And I'm walking off the field going, Jess Fishlock and Megan Rapinoe, I can't play with them. And you felt that way.
Yeah, I did. And then obviously it's hard because I'm alone, right? It's I don't have my family. I don't have my brothers and my sisters that really kind of just get me together, right? Or my mom and my dad, who I just then have to be trying to deal with it myself, or do I be vulnerable to those who I don't know to try and help me kind of navigate, which is why Laura is huge for me and has been huge for me. obviously coming from the UK as well, and understanding the difficulties of culture change and all that, and everything else. And so, yeah, it was, I really had to dig deep to figure out a way to play here at the level where I'm not just surviving, that I'm actually bringing something on top of just playing football. Like I'm bringing something to the team, something to the club, like having a impact, because that's what I've always wanted, to the player that I've wanted to be, So it was really, it was tough.
Yeah, well, it sounds like Laura Harvey has had a huge influence on you, especially from that angle. You've obviously played all over, but you always find your way back to Seattle. And Laura has been the head coach there on and off for a long time. She was actually the only female coach in the NWSL for years. And I have a little experience with Laura when she was one of the assistant coaches on the national team. And I feel like she's like such a player's coach. I felt very comfortable talking to her and relating to her on a personal level. I think she sees players as people first.
Yeah.
And that was something that made me feel really connected to her as a coach and as a person. So can you talk to us a little bit about your relationship with her? You've been playing with her for so long. What is she like to you as not only a coach, but as an important figure in your life?
Yeah, she really is, and you've just hit the nail on the head. Like, she's an important figure to me as a coach, because she really, put a lot of faith in me, put a lot of trust in me, pushed me to, find different levels and different crafts, and, you need to do this and you can do it. And she really trusts my brain when it comes to football. And when a coach has trust in you and puts trust in you to be able to make decisions on the field, find your own space. What does that space look like? Find space for you, but it's actually for somebody else within the same kind of movement, It really allows you to elevate your game. And I think Laura is very, very good at that. She doesn't just tell you what to do. She's like, this is the space you'll be in. And when you're in this space, I'm going to need you to find a way to get the ball somewhere that's going to hurt the opposition, right? And she's also like, I can't tell you what that is because I'm not playing it. You're playing it, right? And I think that's an aspect of Laura's coaching that I think gets really kind of, it's undervalued because it's hard, right? A lot of people and a lot of players just want to be told what to do so they can do it. I think a lot of people don't understand the trust and the what's what I'm looking for? Just the belief that a coach has when they go, no, you know what you're doing when you get in this space, and kind of like figure it out. And I have so much respect for you and Rose specifically, because I think you were both very, very good at that. And then that's really hard to defend, right? If it's just kind of like A to B, B to C, C to D, and it's just choreographed, you can kind of defend it a little better.
I think what you're saying is like there's coaching styles that give too much freedom where you feel like you have no idea what they want or what the system is or what we're looking to do. And then there's coaching styles that are too rigid and the players can't use their instincts to find to make the most of their brain and their vision on the field. And then there's this happy medium where there's a team plan, but there's also freedom for players who have great instincts like you, like Rose Lavelle, to meet in the middle and like that's where like the magic happens for really great players. I think that's a cool way of explaining Laura's style.
Yeah, it's like fluidity within the system, right? Mm-hmm. And Laura's always believed in that, and I think she's allowed me to figure out what that is and understand what that is. So as a coach, I just love her. And there's another side to Laura where she accepts and knows if she's got it wrong.
I want to circle back really quickly about the Welsh national team because your rise has been so amazing to watch. It's such a good example of a European nation that's just growing in leaps and bounds. And I'm really interested to know how you've experienced it from the inside. I know your team has come a long way. You almost qualified for the 2023 World Cup. You ultimately fell short during, I know, I'm so sorry, a heartbreaker.
It's okay.
Playoff qualifier against Switzerland, conceded a goal in the last minute of extra time. And it was so
agonizing. You really want to.
I know.
Really want to dig that in here, don't you? Yeah, you're gonna. Yeah, okay, thank you.
I did my research. It was so agonizing because your small nation had come so close to qualifying for a major tournament for the first time. Talk to us a little bit. What did that feel like in the moment to not qualify?
Well, I mean, it was heartbreaking, obviously. I think, honestly, and I will stand by this, and this might be a little bit of a hot take, but I'm going to say I'm going to stand by it anyway. We getting anywhere out of Europe, especially to a World Cup, is one of the hardest things you could possibly do. If you're not a top seed, a first seed, if you haven't already basically been given a pathway to be there, trying to break that pathway down is one of the most mentally, emotionally, physically draining qualification processes you will ever go through. And I talk about it all the time, and I remember even with like Pino and Rose, I'd be like, you know what, why don't you take Wales's place in Europe and we will go to CONCACAF and we will have a 2-week mini tournament to qualify, and you can have an 18-month long haul fight of qualification, right? And I think that's what makes it even more heartbreaking, is it's not like a 10-day trip somewhere where you're all together and you're all doing whatever. It is a slog because within that process, you're in club football and there's injuries and you can't get your best team together all the time. And so when we got to the playoffs, and I think it's the hope, Sam, that kills you. It's the hope and the belief, because in this specific qualification process, I'd say it was the first time as a group, and it has taken this group 10 years to get to this point, by the way. It's been a tough time for us, I mean, Sophie's in there, Haz is in there, the group of girls that had been in there for a long time had been developing our entire group and our entire nation for this point, right? So the belief was at an all-time high. The belief was really kind of deep, which probably is why we made it so far. But the thing I think that really hurt us was 4 days before we played Switzerland, we had the first playoff. And obviously Switzerland don't have to do a first playoff. They just go straight into the second playoff game. And so we had Bosnia, probably was Bosnia, at home. And we went into extra time and we scored and won 1-0. But I think that
takes such an emotional toll just right before.
There it is.
Yeah, totally.
There it is. And you get it.
Yeah.
Because you're one of the best players ever to grace the game. You understand that the emotional toll of... And in that game, obviously VAR has just come in. And we'd scored 3 goals that were wiped out from VAR, right? Which in itself is an emotional roller coaster whilst you're in the game. And then we go into extra time. We score a worldie. And we win. And we're just like in this euphoria of... I mean, I've never really experienced anything like this night, this game. We had 15,000 people there. Z flew over for it. All our families were there. We'd broken so many kind of barriers just in this campaign alone. And I think that was ultimately the downfall, because we had to then try and regulate everything within 2 days, plus recover, plus fly to Switzerland, plus deal with a team who want something just as much as we do, but have not gone through all of that emotional, physical, and you could tell. I mean, if you said to me like, who deserved it, what was the game like, I'd say Switzerland deserved it for sure. They were better. They were just better. But I don't think that it would have been like that had we not dealt with the game before the way that kind of it happened. And I think that's the hardest thing to really take, is because I firmly believe that. So it's like, but that's the game.
Yeah.
Right? That's the game.
Yeah, sadly it is. Hopefully there's more opportunities coming. Like Wales is developing great players. You just mentioned Chelsea midfielder Sophie Ingle, Seattle Reign teammate has Angara James, Manchester United midfielder Hayley Ladd. So beyond this continued like great player development, what do you guys need from your federation, the FAW, to help you guys get over that line and qualify for the next thing?
Honestly, it's just, keeping the investment there. I will say that for a long time we didn't have investment. But I will say that I will give our association credit, and over the last kind of three years, they've really stepped it up big time. And, coincide with that, we've had our most successful situation, because lo and behold, investment is a stepping stone to success. And so we just have to keep doing that. I mean, we start our Euro campaign in April. Probably, absolutely, not probably, it will be my last campaign with Wales. One kind of last push to get to a major tournament. And we just need to keep doing it. We need to keep investing, and we need to find areas where we need to keep investing more. It can't just stay at where it is now, just because we conceded a goal in the 93rd minute. When that goal goes in, we need our federation to be like, okay, what else? It can't be, well, we did that and it still didn't work. Well, no, it needs to be what else? And so I hope that that we do that. I really do, because I do believe that we have a squad right now that is ready for it, is ready for a major tournament, and not to just kind of be there, but to compete. I mean, we just drew with Germany, which was a huge result for us. Our Nations League was unsuccessful, but successful in different ways. And so I think we're really ready for the next push. But it's just, like I said, Europe is it's just hard, man. It's just so hard. Every team you play are just really good, and you just have to just show up.
I know. It's so competitive. I mean, we've seen Team GB won't be at the Olympics this summer because, like you said, that qualification process is just so difficult. Before we move on totally from Wales, you mentioned this continued investment. Do you think that with so many eyes on Wrexham, has there been more attention given to Welsh football in general? Have you been following Wrexham at all? Has that affected you or your team in any way?
No, I wouldn't say it has. I don't think the Wrexham. I know now they are really doing a lot with the women's team and investing in that now. And so hopefully there's a way where what is happening with Wrexham can filter through Welsh football, but also whether that is what Ryan and Rob want, whether they want to help Welsh football or whether they focus on getting Wrexham through the English leagues. I mean, it's just different, right? It's club and it's a national pathway, and it really doesn't always correlate that well. But it's fun to see, another Welsh team. We have Cardiff and Swansea in the English league as well. It's really fun to see another, historic. Wrexham is very historical to Wales, and so it's really fun to see that happen. I mean, if anyone's been to Wrexham, it's really, really, really funny to see what is happening there.
Yeah. Wrexham it's been really fun to watch that. Jess, if you could name the best player you've ever played with on your team.
Ha! I know. That's not fair.
You can put it, we got a question from a listener, Shadow of Ken on Instagram. You can pick a dream five-a-side team if that's easier.
Well, it's not.
It's not.
Let me do an 11. Okay. Because I have a hella players. So we're going to go probably Steph Cox at left back, Lulu at left centre half.
Lou Barnes.
Hope in goal. Yeah, Lou Barnes, sorry.
Hope Solo in goal.
Hope Solo in goal. Wendy, obviously. What am I thinking?
Wendy
Renard
right from the French national half. Team.
Yeah, Wendy Renard. Yeah. Honestly, who was a dream, and she was more of a wing back. So I'm just going to ask her to do a little bit more defensive work, is Simone Lauder, German national team player.
Okay.
Played with her at Frankfurt. My 6 is going to be a hybrid of Kiki and Soph. They're going to go together.
Kiki meaning Keelan Winters?
Keelan Winters, sorry, yeah.
That's okay.
And Soph Ingle.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're going to have morphed
they're
person.
going to merge together.
Okay.
Yes. This is the only way this is going to work.
Great.
I'm going to go with Rose and Kimmy.
Oh, man.
Which is hard because it means there's no Marajan. Yeah. I'm going to have to do that. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go Pino on the left.
Yep.
Lisa Murr on the right. And as my 9... Do you remember Celia Sasich?
Yes.
Yeah, I know. She's not in my team, but she was fantastic.
I do
She was the
her.
9. Yes.
What country?
Played with her at Frankfurt.
Germany.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to have to make a graphic of this and call
it
Jess Fishlock's Dream 11. That's going to be
I think I'm going to
cool.
go with Celia Sasich in my 9 because this woman at Frankfurt was just beyond. But I'm going to put in there too that depending on the game, I'm a pop Maro in there as like a false 9.
Yeah. I love that.
So I don't know if I need like a 9-9 or a...
You're going to make a tactical decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Totally
but
changing gears.
Yeah.
Totally changing gears. What's your go-to takeout order in Seattle?
Okay. I'm going to be judged by... No, it's because I know I'm going to be judged super hard for this. But I love a Wendy's burger.
I'm not judging you.
And also on the side, I have this spicy nuggets.
Okay. All right.
They're so good.
I feel like anybody who wasn't born and raised in America does have a soft spot for fast food in America.
Yeah, I don't know what you guys put in it.
Nothing good, but
it is different. No, nothing good.
Okay, is there any TV show, reality TV, or whatever it is that you watch that you'd want to be on?
Love to be on, or loved to have been on because it stopped. Game of Thrones.
Ooh, I was not expecting you to say that, but I like that. I
have I wouldn't call it a weird ass fetish, but I love the medieval times. Maybe it is a fetish, but I don't know. I don't even know if I can say that, but I just love it.
I think we can say anything. I don't really know the rules. Okay, Jess, seriously, you are one of the most widely and uniformly respected players of our whole generation. Anytime I talk to anybody about you, everybody regards you as one of the absolute best midfielders. You have such a spirit, a competitiveness. You display like emotion on the field in both good moments and bad, and it's what makes people love watching the game. And I'm so honored to have played against you. I really always rooted for you, and I know we were never teammates, but I never root for other midfielders because I'm like, we're trying to do the same thing out here, but I always rooted for you. I'm so grateful for you for coming on my podcast. I really appreciate it, and good luck with Seattle and with Wales. Oh my gosh, what a great interview with Jess Fishlock. I seriously loved spending time with her. I always respected her so much as a player and never got to play on the same team as her. So it was kind of a dream come true for me to get to have her on the show and talk to her about her career. But that is it for Friendlies this week. So tune into our socials this weekend. I'm actually about to take off on another very special trip to another place I used to call home. So you won't want to miss any of our coverage over the next couple weeks. We really do love hearing from you all. So don't forget to rate and review this podcast and subscribe to the new feed so that you don't miss an episode. You can also email us at womensgamemib@menandblazers.com and follow along on all of our socials at Women's Game MIB on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We will be back next week with U.S. Women's National Team and Washington Spirit forward Trinity Rodman. Thank you all so much for being here. I'll see you soon.